Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video by yours truly. We got a lot to talk about today. It's time to have that discussion about Jingliu. Is she going to be better than imbibitor lunae? Is she going to be living on Middington Street next to Seala Mains? Boy, oh boy. You know the polarizing perspectives this community loves to have, and now Gacha Smack is here to share his thoughts. There's a lot to talk about with her. I want to talk about her incredibly bursty induced kit. I do want to talk about where I think her strength levels are going to lie at. I want to talk about how fine she is and the fact that she fits the weeb aesthetic perfectly well. And so I'm going to bring her home, especially considering that she's Jingliu, one of my favorite characters in the games, Sensei. Oh yeah. So let's start off with where I think her strength level is. I think it's going to be right around imbibitor lunae. It's hard to tell if she's going to be as strong as him or a little bit weaker. I'm leaning more towards a little bit weaker, and the reason I say that is because she's a very bursty character, much like Yang Xing actually, except better. Surprise, surprise. And the reason I say that is because if you're inside of her spectral state, she actually deals more damage, or she's looking like she's going to be dealing more damage than imbibitor lunae. But when you're outside of her spectral state, she's not doing any damage at all, coupled with a very high energy cost burst. So the question lies is, does the burst window make up for the damage she's not doing outside of the spectral state? Because here's the concept and the way the dynamic of how her kit works. You have to get up those two Synergies stacks to enter the spectral state. The only way you can acquire them is by using her ult or her skill. And then you can enter battle with the technique as well and do it. But let's set that aside for now. You have to use her skill 2 times pretty much, unless her ult is up, which it probably won't be outside of that first window of entering a battle. So when you use that skill 2 times, then you enter the spectral state, and then you have 2 freaking stacks of Synergy stacks. And then once you pop her ult, I think you can get a 3rd stack up in there as well as some good damage inside of that spectral enhanced state, where you have access to a crit rate boost, a massive one at that, and access to a flat attack boost, a massive one at that. So you get all these powerful buffs inside of the spectral state, and that's where your damage is. But there's a lot of turns that are going by as all of this stuff is happening, right? Skill. Oh, didn't get my Synergy state, or didn't get my 2 Synergy stacks, so that goes by. Oh, I come back up with her again, skill. Oh, now I enter the spectral state and now I'm inside of it, but I use her skill and then I gotta wait for her to come up again. You get what I'm trying to say? Basically, a lot of turns are going by to get her damage off. So the question now becomes, is she gonna be able to do all of this damage in a single cycle? Possibly, but possibly not. At the end of the day, though, this is sweaty talk. You don't need to 0 cycle, 1 cycle, or any of that nonsense. If you're somebody who just wants a character that's going to be incredibly freaking strong, then leave that conversation at rest. She's going to be a beast of a character. This is, again, all as usual, meta slave talk, nerd talk, trying too goddamn hard at the game talk. I think she is going to potentially be as strong as imbibitor lunae. It all comes down to that burst window, and I think we're gonna have to wait and do a little bit of testing. Usually I'm very confident on how somebody's gonna perform prior to the release, but with her, yeah, we're gonna have to do a little bit of testing at first. Now, she has access to her light cone and her her S1, which is her light cone, and then her Eidolon one. She looks to have one of the stronger versions of light cone and Eidolon 1, which could probably debatably put her stronger than S1 E1 imbibitor lunae, and making her the strongest E1 S1 character in the game for the people who are interested in budget. So she is looking very good in that matter. But the other thing that's really cool about her is the HP drain that she does to the entire party is very beneficial, not only to her, but also to Blade, also to Arlon. I know y'all be sleeping on my boy Arlon, but it's beneficial to a number of people. And I know some of y'all might be concerned with whether that's gonna hinder your survivability. Well, it's very meta skill HP drain. It's not like significant. It's barely noticeable. That's all I'm trying to say. But in terms of her best team compositions, one of the things I'm really excited to do, as I've always told y'all, is pair her up with Blade. I think her and Blade together could potentially be the strongest composition in the entire game. We'll see how that goes. These are just my thoughts. But the reason I say that is because Blade's a monster, she's a monster, put them both together and they synergize well with one another. I just see it popping off. Plus, Ice and Wind, they're weak. The freaking Rajang, the monkey who's always trying to dunk Master Darius on people, he's weak to both Ice and Wind. they're going to clap his cheeks left and right. So I look forward to doing that. And I feel like they're dropping monsters that are also going to synergize with those elements as well. So her and Blade are looking good, but best supports in the game for her, without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be Ting Yun, Pella at E4 or higher. You can use Pella below that too, but that freaking vulnerability debuff to ice weakness is huge. I think Pella and Ting Yun are going to be very, very strong options for her, especially the defensive shred that Pella provides, the friendly SP positivity. You can also debuff the enemy unit with her skill, and then if you throw in a Fu Xuan on that team, you now have immunity to being CC'd, as well as a unit that can also debuff them. So like you're like covering the board very efficiently with a composition such as that. And I know a lot of people were like pretty much like worried that she won't work with Fu Xuan. Bro, she works perfectly fine with Fu Xuan. It's not even an issue. In fact, I would argue that Fu Xuan's going to be a stronger option on that composition to the people who are a little bit more calculated with this gameplay. Lorcha's the more comfortable option, but I think Fu Xuan's always going to be the stronger option because of that 10% crit rate boost given to the entire party. It's just too damn strong. And if you have her E1, good lord, I mean, that's just broken. Anyways, getting back on track, I think the best composition for her in the game is either going to be like a Ting Yun Bronya with her and a Fu Xuan or Lorcha, or a Ting Yun Pella with her or Lorcha. And then you're going to swap that out, or I'm sorry, with Fu Xuan or Lorcha. And then you can swap that out with a Ting Yun or Bronya, one or the other, whoever you choose, with her and Blade, and then a Lorcha or a Fu Xuan, whichever one you may choose. Now, to the people who are barely coming to the game, who aren't going to have Lorcha or Fu Xuan, what sustainer should you utilize? Or you're not going to have very many options available. And to you, I would say you got yourself in quite a pickle, because Lynx isn't available anymore, so you can't choose Lynx. So you really only have Natasha, pretty much. Or March 7th. I guess you could use March 7th. Yeah, you can use March 7th and Natasha. What I will say is, rest assured, Huo did just get announced. She's going to be coming out around the corner very soon. And excuse me, she's going to be able to bring in a massive amount of value to your account for the newcomers. That is probably the one character all newcoming players need to be looking forward to, so that she can add that value to team composition such as the one we're talking about right now. So rest assured, you do got somebody coming around the corner big time, and she's looking to be strong, I'll tell you that. without revealing any leaks out, you know what I'm saying? But I want to get back to Jingliu. One of the things that I think is incredibly underrated with her kit, that I feel many people might be overlooking, is the fact that she does not consume skill points with her spectral state. This is massive, guys. I don't think you understand. It makes her very skill point positive in comparison to many other options, just like Blade. She has a Blade kind of kit in the sense that once she enters the spectral state, you just don't have to worry about her using a skill point. That's why her and Blade are going to work beautifully together, because as long as you have somebody that's skill point positive in the other options, such as Ting Yun and Fu Xuan or Lorcha, you're good, man. Your skill point positivity is looking banger. And the same concept will apply to her if you run her with Bronya. Bronya's a skill point consumer, especially when it comes to using her in like the most optimal meta sweaty level. You're always using her skill pretty much most of the time. Now, there'll be a few little niche scenarios inside of a cycle clear where you auto attack with her just because it'll set her up perfectly to make somebody go again, but you're spamming the hell out of her skill for the most part. So if you have them on a Bronya team, hyper buff induced, and then you got Pella and like Ting Yun, you're still good to go because she's so skill point positive, or not skill point positive, I'm capping, but more friendlier than like somebody like a Cielo or a Jingliu. So I think that's, or imbibitor lunae. So I think that's something to consider with her as well. At the end of the day, I think she is 100% going to be meta, but is she going to be the absolute best unit in the entire game? I guess we'll have to wait and see. What I would like you guys to understand is that even if she's not, she's 100% the best ice banger unit, and I don't see her ever getting power crept, like ever. That's how good her kit is for the ice element synergy. But you know, I guess you also can never say never. You know how Hoyoverse is. The motherfuckers find a way. Them damn indirect buffs, boy. God damn it, they be coming out the woodworks with them. Those are all of my thoughts that I can think of right now. As always, comment down below. Let me know what you think. Peace, love, and happiness. Hopefully we brought you some good value and entertainment. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side.